Welcome to the latest episode of the B Movie Club. I'm your host, Kevin. With us, as occasionally he is Tori. Good to see you.
Good to be seen.
This week we'll be discussing the 1984 comedy horror classic, Ghostbusters, starring Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Sigourney Weaver, Rick Moranis. The list goes on and on. Ernie Hudson, for example. For those of you joining us for the first time, each week on the B Movie Club we discuss certain guilty pleasures and forgotten classics from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and today. That's a wide range, let me tell you.
Just released today.
Just, exactly. Still in theaters. That's how we do. You can always follow us on our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. Give us a big thumbs up and tell a friend. You can also subscribe on our page on YouTube. Just look for the name Kevin D. and subscribe. It's totally free, except your time may be worth something. You can also tweet me directly on Twitter at KD9575, my initials and my birthday. So mark that on your calendar. So, Ghostbusters. Tori, what's it all about, man?
It's all about Ray Parker Jr., really. I mean, when I think of Ghostbusters, I think of the song, so...
Would you sing a few bars? Take a minute. Me.
No. So the Ghostbusters. No, it's good to see again for the first time. Lots of funny stuff. But essentially, scientists gone rogue into the field of the extracurricular. Terrestrial. I couldn't.
Paranormal, perhaps?
No, there's
supernatural.
So yeah, and then, of course the classic scene, Bill Murray in the beginning testing for psychic ability. Love that. Good way to kick it off. The library scene, I mean, and it rolls. It goes. So they go into business for themselves because the private sector expects results, and they got kicked out of college. So that's good. And then I think everyone remembers the firehouse, the pole dancing scenes.
So, I mean, basically they are what? They're scientists who are after...
Well, 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3, ain't bad.
2 out of 3 scientists recommend this movie.
They're looking for, like, evidence of ghosts. They see one in their entire careers, and they decide, hey, we should open up a business where we catch ghosts.
Even before that, they were not so successful in the college,
Right.
Well, and the Twinkie analogy really explains it all. The normal activity is a Twinkie, and the paranormal activity that happens throughout the course of the movie is a 35-foot Twinkie, 600 pounds.
Exactly. They saw a need and moved to fill it. Okay? So, and you've also got Sigourney Weaver playing, she's kind of a mean cellist. Okay, I'm assuming she's a cellist. I don't even know what instrument she plays. She's in an orchestra of some sort.
She's stringing.
Wait, she is. Yeah. She's playing. It could be a cello or a bass or a really big viola. But there's like something going on in her apartment. In her refrigerator, there's a creature in there. So she calls Ghostbusters. They go and check it out. Evidently, I don't want to spoil everything, but there's some kind of demon from another dimension coming in to destroy the world, essentially.
Conquer.
Right? Take it over. Gozer. You may have heard of Gozer. Gozer the Gozerian. So there you go. Not to be confused with those other Gozerians, evidently. So that's Ghostbusters. That's kind of a bizarre, convoluted description of the plot. That's how we do.
No spoiler alerts.
No, there's definitely no spoiler alerts. Originally, the movie started out as a script written by Dan Aykroyd, and it was called Ghost Smashers. which kind of blows. Not a good title. But it took place in the future where Ghostbusters, or Ghost Smashers, are as common as like police officers and firefighters. And they actually use kind of magic wands to catch the ghosts.
Like as a fishing
Right, like
motion.
overhand,
Fly.
kind of like that, fly fishing. He brought the script to Ivan Reitman, who was kind of like, there are things I like about it, but it's a little too bizarre. So they brought in Harold Ramis, who had written like Caddyshack most recently, to kind of punch up the script and make it a little more grounded in reality, and that's what we have today. All of the crazy pseudo-technical jargon about ectoplasmic residue and a full rip cross, whatever that
Someone sneezed and you want to collect it.
Pretty much. All the weird, PKE meter, all that stuff is all Dan Aykroyd stuff. So as we all know, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd were big on Saturday Night Live, and Harold Ramis, who you might remember, was also big on SCTV. So there you go. So they all had that kind of improvisational skill to bring. Originally, the script was written with John Belushi and Eddie Murphy playing in it. John Belushi, of course, died like before they finished the script. Eddie Murphy decided to go on and do Beverly Hills Cop 2. Not a bad choice. Beverly Hills Cop became the #1 movie of that year. #2, Ghostbusters. So there you have it. So they rewrote it. They brought in Bill Murray. Bill Murray, interestingly enough, only agreed to do it if they let him produce and star in another movie that he was passionate about called The Razor's Edge. It was a remake. I'm sure you didn't see it. So he...
It's not as uplifting as some of his other films.
As you might
in case
imagine.
you are going out to rent it right now or Netflixing it.
If you were thinking about it. Basically, like, they had the script, they had the funny stuff going on there. Ivan Reitman was a big movie director, as you might imagine. He did a lot of comedies up to that point, and after that, did a lot of comedies. They had the script, but Bill Murray basically ad-libbed all of his lines, which is why he basically has all the funny ones. In fact, that was kind of a negative that the critics talked about. They said that basically the only one who says funny things is Bill Murray, whereas Harold Ramis and Ray Stantz, it's more like Harold Ramis and Ray Stantz and Dan Aykroyd. They basically just kind of say bizarre things that you laugh about, I guess.
The critics aren't paying attention because there are some key.
What are some of your favorite lines?
Oh well, so which I misheard in the beginning. So Egon's coming out from under the desk, which I giggled at. Yes.
For obvious reasons.
Janine is...
Janine Melnitz.
And he just kind of appears after Bill Murray Venkman walks by. So, and then she goes, "You're really smart, and I think you must read a lot of books." And I thought he just kind of ignores her flirting because he's a scientist, whatever. And he says, "Print is dead." And I thought the printer, I thought he was working on fixing the printer, which, computer and
And he collects spores, molds, and fungus. So there you have it. He's a well-rounded individual, to say the least. Sigourney Weaver, obviously, she had done Alien, she hadn't done Aliens, but she'd done Alien, and been in a few other things. This is kind of a different role for her. Again, like I said earlier, you wonder why anybody's interested in her, because she's basically rude the entire movie. She's not a nice person.
Well, I mean, she becomes a...
That's
her theme in her character.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. So that's how we do. Rick Moranis plays the nerdy accountant neighbor from across the hall. Originally, it was going to be John Candy, who was another SCTV guy, but he wanted to play it with a crazy German accent and have two schnauzers as his dogs. And he was like, "Oh, I have to play it this way. This is the only way I will play it." Until he just left. They're like, "That's not going to work." They thought there were too many dog kind of imagery. Spoiler alert. In this movie already. So they said, take your schnauzers and hit the bricks. They brought in Rick Moranis.
It's pretty rough.
Who's very rough. Who was great too. There's that scene where he's walking through his party, talking about why he invited clients instead of friends. That whole scene was improvised by Rick Moranis, also from SCTV. See, there's a Saturday Night Live SCTV thing going on here. It's very important. Eddie Murphy, like I said, was supposed to be in this movie. When he passed on it, they kind of rewrote it to make that character, give him a much smaller role. They eventually cast...
And less funny lines.
And less funny lines. They cast Ernie Hudson, who has been in a few things since then, if you're paying attention. He was the one that jumps to mind. He was in Congo. Anybody? Anyway, so he was in it. When this movie was over, they wound up making Ghostbusters. There are actually 2 Ghostbusters cartoons, if you believe that. One was called The Real Ghostbusters, which had Slimer. Anyway, Ernie Hudson went and auditioned for the voice of his character from the movie, and he lost. He lost the part. It's his role.
To Eddie Murphy. Not really.
Close. Arsenio Hall, who was not... this is before the Arsenio Hall show, so maybe they knew something we didn't. Like I said, there were actually 2 different cartoon Ghostbusters shows. The other one was called The Original Ghostbusters, which was actually not based upon this movie, which was based upon like a 70s film. This is true, with a talking ape, and it's all...
every which way but loose.
Yeah, I can't explain it. It's ridiculous. So, they made another sequel in the late 80s, Ghostbusters 2. They've been talking about making Ghostbusters 3 for quite a while, although Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd are as old as the hills. It's possible it may still happen. There have been rumors it will come out in 2015. We shall see. We will wait. They may be playing the ghosts in this one at this stage of the game. So there you have it. That is Ghostbusters. Can you think of anything else you'd like to share? What are some favorite scenes? You liked the library scene?
Well, get her.
That was brilliant. Yeah.
I mean, it's just really.
Back off, man! I'm a scientist.
The exchange at the mayor's office.
Mr. Pecker here.
It caused an explosion. Is this true?
Yeah. you know, don't you?
You know, you have to. You posted one of the better scenes, and
that is great. It's the scene where, spoiler alert, Dana is possessed by Zool, and now she's the gate master or gatekeeper. Bill Murray walks in, and it's just one excellent line after another. Oh, I guess the flowers worked. I'm making a rule never get involved with possessed people. Actually, it's more of a guideline than a rule.
It might be a little crowded in there. It's like 2 people.
Do you want this body? Is this a trick question?
Come on.
That's a great one too. There's a lot of excellent lines. And those were all ad-libbed by Bill Murray, right off the cuff. That scene is one of my favorites. Some of the special effects are a little dated, a little bit, but I still think it's as funny as it's ever been. I think it is hilarious. This is actually the first movie I ever bought on DVD. When I first bought my DVD player, it's the first movie. I'm like,
must have.
Gotta have it. Another thing I forgot to mention.
Where do these lead? Upstairs.
They go up.
They go up.
Pee Wee Herman. Paul Reubens was originally going to play the role of Gozer, and for whatever reason, they went in a different direction. What can I tell you? At one point, Grace Jones was going to play the role of Gozer. It's all very complicated. Okay, it's politics.
He has experience casting ectoplasm.
Ectoplasm residue wherever he goes in the crowded theaters. Anyway, so Ghostbusters currently has a 96% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Can you blame them? It is streaming instantly on Netflix still.
Don't cross the streams.
Definitely don't cross the streams. That goes in many walks of life. Thanks, Egon.
So right?
Right. So there you have it. Like I said, you can rush out and see it. It is still, although there are some scary moments, I remember as a child watching this, being a little nervous occasionally. It is hilarious, and it's good for the whole family, I feel. Your granny will enjoy it as well. So, the parish priest, invite him down, the school of orphans, the blind children down the street, invite them all in and watch Ghostbusters. I highly recommend it. Next week, we're going to be going to more of the horror genre. Last week I did action with Roadhouse. This week I did comedy with Ghostbusters. I'm going to do a horror movie. And the movie we're going to do is... We're going to go ahead and do Carrie from the 70s, starring Sissy Spacek, John Travolta. It's an all-star cast. What can I tell you? As you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote. And here it is. Ray, if someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes! So there it is. Thank you for joining us. Next week, Carrie. I'd like to take a moment and thank Tori. Thank you very much for joining us yet again. Maybe we'll be able to figure out that Skype again and have you on more often.
If you answer the call, then who are you gonna call?
Who are you gonna call?
I don't.
So go ahead and like us on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. Go ahead and subscribe on our page on YouTube. Totally free. You can tweet me directly at KD9575. And don't forget to spread the word and let all the homies know. Okay?
Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. Next week, Carrie.